In this slideshow movie, you will hear about technology in our schools then and now. Thank you for listening.
Technology has grown leaps and bounds over the last few decades. This has been a revolution that has brought positives and negatives into both the regular world and the classroom. Starting with the colonial years, there were wooden paddles that had lessons printed on them, called horn books. These were beneficial to students because they helped students learn verses. 1870 was a time where we saw a splash of technology with the magic lantern. This was a slide projector that projected images on glass plates. Although the next two things are not technological, these were big inventions to the education world. In 1980, the chalkboard was invented, and then in 1990, the pencil was invented. After 1900, numerous technological advances were made. The radio was invented in 1920 and followed by the overhead projector in 1930. The radio sparked on-air classes to students who could listen in range. 1940 was when the ballpoint pen was created. This was not technological, but yet again it was another large advancement. The 1950s had some pretty big inventions. In 1950, headphones were created, 1951, videotapes, and in 1959, the photocopier was invented. In 1972, the handheld calculator came out, as well as the Scantron. The Scantron was created by a man named Michael Sokolsky and was a huge invention for inside the classroom. It created a quicker and easier way for teachers to grade students' tests. The 1980s were when everyday use computers came out. 1981 was the first portable computer, followed by Apple's Mac in 1984 and Toshiba's first consumer laptop in 1985. The next really big-time technological advancements before they became more and more frequent was the 1990s. In 1990, the World Wide Web was created, but there were restrictions on the commercial use of the internet. These restrictions were not removed until 1993, but when they were, it was huge. Eventually, advancements became more and more common and frequent that they didn't seem as big anymore. The previous advancements that were noted were big for the education world. There are many more from 1993 to present day, but the list is never ending. It took a while for technology to hit classrooms, but once it did, it became the next big thing. Growing up, my classrooms were filled with technology. From the time that I was in 6th grade until I graduated high school in 2015, I had a laptop given to me by the school that I could take home and use for all of my schoolwork. At times, the laptop was very helpful, but at other times I did not think it was so helpful. I always liked the traditional pen and paper for taking notes, so being encouraged to take notes and complete assignments on my computer was a bit of a stretch. Besides the laptops, we had smartboards and a projector in every single classroom. Here are some statistics about technology in the classroom. After a study done in 2009, 97% of classrooms had one or more computer in them. 93% of classroom computers had internet access, and 40% of students used computers in their educational methods. For every 5 students in a class, there was one computer. Now, fast forwarding to present day, after studying technology rates with college students, 83% own a laptop and 50% have a smartphone. Those numbers are very high. Technology is completely taking over education, and students are becoming more and more acquainted with it. Technology can be seen as both beneficial and detrimental to the education world. First, let's start out with some positives of having technology and assistive technology in our classrooms. Technology can make us reconsider how we learn. It adds curiosity and new ways of thinking. Having a computer in the classroom can serve as a tutor by offering greater access to information. By having a computer in the classroom that has internet, these students have unlimited access to different forms of sources and elements that can continue to teach them. It can help students achieve their full development potential, while also helping to bridge the gap between the education and technological world. Lastly, it gives students an eager motivation to learn, an enhanced quality of classwork, and helps students with a jump start on marketable job skills. The pros definitely outweigh the cons, but the negatives still have to be accounted for. Although technology seems to be extremely positive in the classroom, it has its negative effects as well. The first problem would be that it does not work for all students. Not everyone learns the same way, and even though some students may work better with technology, others seem to struggle a lot with it. In an article written by Kathleen Gulley from California State University, it was discussed how technology may actually be making us stupid. The reason behind this is because technology might be completely taking out the thinking process from students. Another important issue raised was that technology takes the heart and emotion out of the classroom. To resolve this problem, teachers really need to take into account the importance of students' emotions. I also think that this takes away from the genuine teacher-student relationship that should be visible in the classroom. Lastly, teachers need to be fully educated and aware of these technological advances so that they can accurately aid their students during their computer usage. Special education programs have come an immensely long way and still have a lot more room for growth. Equality in schools for special needs children has not always been there. Besides the milestones this population has overcome in just getting equal education opportunities, technology has helped this population so much. The technological growth in these programs has just begun, but there are only positives for this group. In 1975, Congress enacted the Education for All Handicapped Children. The goal of this enactment was to make certain that all children with disabilities had access to a free and appropriate public education. As stated in the article, The History of Special Education, schools were required to evaluate children and create an educational plan that paralleled the academic experience of their non-disabled peers. EHA requirements also provided parents and families the necessary support system to ensure their child received appropriate and adequate services, along with the services needed to dispute decisions made on behalf of the child. In 1975, the EHA was amended. Next is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. This act ensures that students with disabilities are provided the least restrictive environment. This means that these students with disabilities are educated with students who do not have disabilities to the maximum degree appropriate. Assistive technology is extremely beneficial both in and out of the classroom for disabilities. This type of technology can do things for these children. Assistive technology is extremely beneficial both in and out of the classroom for disabilities. This type of technology can do things for these children that were never thought possible. Students can be assisted in all aspects, from cognitive problems to physical impairment. Although it cannot cure or completely eliminate learning difficulties, it helps students' strengths while working around their disabilities. Another huge area it is beneficial in is for nonverbal students. Speech generation is a major asset to assistive technology. There are many useful technological tools that help assist a disabled student in the classroom. The first example is an 8-year-old who suffers from cerebral palsy, named Niara. Niara uses speech generation technology through her cheek to communicate with the computer. Through movement in her cheek, the computer can produce spoken words so she can communicate with others. The second example is an 11-year-old named Adrian. He also uses speech generation technology. His teacher stated it took 3 years for them to find a place in his body that would allow him to communicate using a computer. The computer Adrian communicates through has pictures specifically for Adrian, such as pictures of his friends and family, meal preferences, everyday needs and wants, as well as situations that might portray things he wants to write about. Adrian communicated through his eyebrows. He wears a headband that senses the movement in his eyebrows, and then the computer generates spoken words through there. The third example is a boy named Lucas. Lucas has wanted to play an instrument for band, and he chose a euphonium, which is like a tuba. Since he only has one arm, it was difficult for him to fully play the instrument. His teacher got in contact with a musician instrument inventor and who is also a repairman. This repairman designed a euphonium for Lucas. This instrument has a joystick that electronically instructs the valves to move. These three examples are perfect for showing how useful assistive technology can be, not only to the general education population, but also to the special education population. The company Apple, an everyday brand that people know of, has created assistive features on both touchscreen products and computers. They have created a new learning landscape for children with special needs. These features cover vision, physical and motor skills, hearing, and learning and literacy. The first example is called Guided Access. This can be used for students with autism or other attention or sensory deficits to stay on task. Guided Access can display a screen that helps children explain what it is that they need. For example, there could be different food groups, colors, feelings, or activities. Those are just a few, but there are many other categories that could be displayed here. The second example is speech selection. This can be used for a wide range of learners. This feature can read aloud to the students. Next is assistive touch. This allows students with limited motor capabilities to adapt to their screen. They can create gestures for certain things through the screen as well. Next is text-to-speech. This is a feature that can be used to have a word or paragraph that they are trying to read aloud to them as they follow along on the screen. There are over 20 built-in languages with this feature. The last feature that I will talk about is Braille displays. These are perfect for students that are blind or have a vision disability.
Somebody just take that.
For most students, technology is a tool that saves time and helps them research, explore, create.
Get a little bit of the treat.
For disabled students like Susanna Martini, technology is all of those things and much more. It is a lifeline.
Assistive technology is the major foundation of my life. Without it, I could not exist as I am today. I mean, without a computer, I couldn't do my homework. Move left one word. Without my chair, I couldn't get around. Without my cell phone, I couldn't, call for help.
Active since she was born with cerebral palsy, Susanna refereed soccer matches from her wheelchair in high school. A sophomore at the University of Washington, she uses voice-activated software to complete her written assignments.
This is because computers involved electricity.
We all know how technology has improved in the last few years, all sorts of technology. What most people don't realize is that assistive technology that helps people with disabilities use computers, has been progressing at the same rate.
Answer: air pressure prevents this from happening. Source: Stephen Hawking.
Even though there's a lot of technology available for people with disabilities, it isn't implemented that much in our school systems today. And there are a lot of reasons for that. One is that people who work with students with disabilities, this could be teachers, lab managers, parents, often aren't aware of the technology that is available for them. And then technology is not always included in the planning process.
Back in high school, they didn't understand that I needed a laptop and I needed a desk that could raise and lower, and I didn't have those things. I got a laptop after my mom made them get me one because she knows how to get through the red tape. But it's really necessary for anybody who has a disability to get what they need assistive technology-wise.
So the elevator controls what we call pitch.
The University of Washington's Disabilities, Opportunities, Internetworking, and Technology program, or DO-IT, helps students get the technology they need and holds summer workshops to help them prepare for college.
On this one, I agree that you found the rule.
Well, I use my laptop that I got from the DO-IT program, and I use on-screen keyboard to type and to print and to surf the web. Now I'm ready for a bigger challenge.
Vishal Saraya was elected president of the Summit K-12 student body.
I'm Vishal Saraya, and I hope you vote for me.
And is planning to attend college next fall.
If they have access to their computers, they can take their own notes, they can take their own tests, they can write their own papers, they can use the internet and do their own research. These are things that they couldn't do in another way. They need to practice these independent skills so that they can move on to college and on to careers.
What was your favorite part that you learned about? Okay, go ahead.
The Northwest Indians.
Studies show that the earlier children are introduced to assistive devices, the quicker they master them.
Yeah.
This morning I was mad
Why were you mad, Carlos? Do you have? No. Try.
because I didn't want to get up in the morning to go to school.
So at Redwood Heights Elementary in Oakland, California, the learning begins in preschool.
By introducing kids to technology early, it gets them better prepared and makes it easier down the road, and then they can spend the later years of their school years focusing on content material in the curriculum.
Okay. What else?
The first task is to determine the best way for the child to access a device, whether it's the touch of a finger, a nod, or the twitch of an eyebrow.
It took us 3 years to figure Adrian out. He couldn't move any parts of his body except his eyebrow. And so we determined that was the switch side, and then we determined which type of device would be used.
First, the device scans the rows, and then when he twitches his eyebrow, it begins to select the columns, so row column scanning.
The devices are personalized with various icons, phrases, and voices, and can be programmed to let children share news from home with their classmates, or tell their parents what they did in school.
We are learning about the solar system.
Where? Which class?
That's right. Can you name some of the planets for us?
Mars,
I think we give something that prices a voice, basically.
Pluto.
A lot of our kids are bright, and we give them that power. Who knows? Next one could be the next great physicist or next great scientist. I mean, we've got some wonderful kids with some wonderful minds.
For one student at Spokane's Meade High School, technology is the key to pursuing his passion. Lucas Bratcher loves to play his euphonium horn in the school jazz band, concert band, and even the marching band. That Lucas can play anywhere is a testament to his perseverance and the support of many people who help make his playing possible. It has been an uphill battle ever since he was born with a condition that renders his limbs nearly useless.
It's called amyoplasia arthrogryposis multiplex congenita, and it's throughout my 4 limbs, and it's basically, I have stiffness in my joints and some of my muscles aren't there.
But what's another name for 1 over sine theta?
Cosecant.
Cosecant theta.
Lucas hasn't let his disability prevent him from participating fully at school.
Times 1 over cosine theta.
He takes 4 advanced placement classes and does his homework on a laptop without the aid of the voice recognition software the school provided.
How about we move the nights there?
Lacking manual dexterity, Lucas learned to play music his own special way, to the amazement of his first band director.
He looked very eager and excited about being a member of the band, and quite honestly, my thought at that time was, oh my goodness, how could this possibly work? And as we took the students through their method book, I noticed that occasionally he would play on his horn. His hands were not able to activate the valves on the instrument, so it was apparent to me that what he was doing was just being selective about the notes that he was playing. He was willing to sit there and just wait for that one note to come along in the music. And when it came, he played it with all of his heart and enthusiasm and capability to make the best sound that he could. That was enough for him, initially.
But Lucas knew he could do more. And that's when serendipity led his mother to the instrument repair shop of Robin Amond.
I love repair. I mean, it's always different. You're always working on a different instrument. There's always different problems. My grandfather was a vaudeville musician. He lost his arm in a lumber mill accident. He put an ad in the Portland paper asking one-armed people if they're interested in learning music. He taught them how to play instruments
The senior Amond also patented a device that allowed people with missing hands to play the piano.
I'd always wished that I could make something that could make a person who had lost an arm be able to take the place of their fingers. And then one night, I woke up in the middle of the night and I realized that joysticks aren't just for putting electrical things on screens. Joysticks can do other things. Joysticks can do mechanical things.
Amond's dream became a small box with a joystick that triggered solenoids and operated the valves of a horn. Learning a new way of playing was exhilarating and frustrating for Lucas, and just as he was getting the hang of playing it, someone took his horn.
Call Crime Check if you have any information. That number is
It was stolen in the morning, and by 5 o'clock that same day, I was getting the first call in my cell phone from an anonymous person that said that they wanted to contribute monetarily to a fund to either replace it or as a reward for it. And from that point on, it just snowballed into this huge, wonderful thing where the community raised $6,000.
I wasn't quite sure where the optimum spot for the solenoids was going to be, so I wanted to be able to have it slide up and down.
The loss of the first horn became a blessing when mechanical engineer Andrew Coleman joined Amond to design a second, more responsive joystick and horn, which Lucas uses today.
When I heard and saw Lucas perform recently at a concert, it reminded me just how far we've come. And through the efforts of all the people that have been involved in supporting him, we caught on to his dream.
Technology has changed all of our lives, but for these students, technology truly changes their life and the opportunities that they'll have in the future.
I think assistive technology is going to allow me to major in communications and get a minor in disability studies. I actually want to be a news anchor.
I'm hoping to go to college on a music scholarship and study music and be a musician. I love to play.
For more information on what works in public education, go to edutopia.org.
Thank you for watching.